We talk all the time about how Auburn can be competitive in the NIL space with their collective On to Victory. What all does that actually mean? We tell you by talking to the boss man himself.
Listen, put me in the parking lot, with Bears, and I'll go out there and play. It don't matter.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Joining us now on Locked On Auburn, Brett Whiteside, the executive director of On to Victory, Auburn's NIL collective. Every report that you see, read, or hear about On to Victory, Brett, it's good. Some anonymous sources have named Auburn a sleeping giant because of the work that you guys have done so far. Give us an update on what's going on, and more importantly, how Auburn fans can help you guys attract the most talented athletes all throughout the country.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Zach, appreciate you having me. Excited to be here in this role. It's an exciting time for Auburn. A lot of great positive things going on. NIL is one of those. So, our collective was formed over the summer, and was formed by a group of Auburn alums who all had a shared passion for Auburn, knew that NIL is going to be the future of college athletics. It is very important right now to both be able to retain and attract the top talent across the country. And they've recognized that, and they know that that NIL and On to Victory particularly is synonymous with winning. And for Auburn, it's synonymous with rolling Toomer's Corner, which we all love to do. So you're right. There's a lot of reports out there of the success we've had to date in our fundraising campaign. Mm-hmm. Our board very wisely chose to approach this as a very strategic model. And the first piece of this was launching a major fundraising campaign. And just as a university, when they decide that they want to have a capital project, a big project that they want to do, that it takes a major fundraising campaign to really move the needle. And for us to be successful in NIL, we believe that we need to be raising in excess of $10 million a year to be able to support all of our student athletes at the highest level. And that's going to come through a major gifts campaign. But there's also an opportunity for every Auburn fan to get involved. And I think that this is something that's going to require long-term sustainability, and it's going to take everybody doing their part. There's 1 million plus Auburn fans out there that love supporting the Tigers any way they can. The Auburn family is a real thing. It's not just something that's just talked about. It's a real living and breathing thing. And there's a lot of Auburn fans out there that are excited about the future of all of our sports, particularly football right now. Sure. And if we're going to make a difference, it's going to be through NIL and through On to Victory.
So you mentioned $10 million. Is that the goal? Is that the payroll? Is that a right term for the athletes you're signing right now?
Yeah, there's really no reported revenue. There's no reported number of contracts or values of contracts out there. There's not, collectives aren't exactly telling everybody how much they're spending on their athlete contracts right now. But we believe that in the market, that's competitive. We think that it'll probably continue to grow. There will be an established market value at some point, but that's not come to date yet. I know Coach Tuberville's bill is trying to do some of those things. Whether or not they'll be able to get that passed and accomplished is yet to be determined. But really, when I talk to people about this, it's just understanding what are the rules right now, and this is what they are. And we have to be effective immediately. We can't just sit back on our heels and wait and adjust to how things are going to happen in the future. We know what the rules are right now, and this is the way that we think we got to jump on it.
Well, a few weeks ago, the NCAA kind of put out a clarification on some of the rules, and Brett, it seemed like they got a little bit more lax, honestly, with more interaction.
I thought it was a good guidance piece that they sent to all the schools. So there's really only been, I think this might have been the fourth piece of guidance they've sent out in 18 months. And so really what they said was that institutions can be a little more involved than what maybe they thought they could be. The clear piece is that the institution cannot directly, require the collectives to use it a certain way, right? So they can't come out and say, use your money on these sports or for these athletes, but they can encourage their fan base and their donor base to support a particular collective. We have partnered with Auburn University as the NIL collective. And so I know that people have seen the endorsement videos.
Great job with those.
Yeah, thanks. The Bruce and Butch make those really easy to turn out really well. But, you've seen a lot of the other celebrities that are getting involved and supporting us, from Tim Hudson to, all the Jason Campbell, who works very closely with us.
Sure.
Jason Duffner. So there's a lot of athletes that are understanding what we're trying to do and support it. And we're very appreciative of that.
Right. So as far as how fans can get involved, what's the best way for them to do that? I know you guys are rolling out a subscription type model. What all does that look like, Brett?
Yeah, so we revamped our website, ontovictory.com, and on the website, it's an opportunity for everybody to subscribe, to become a member. And everyone can come in at an entry level of $34, and there's 5 ranges. And what I'm seeing right now is it's fairly evenly distributed across these different tiers. And the number one benefit, and is listed there on the website, is that everyone knows that at least 90% of every dollar they donated goes directly to a student athlete. So when On to Victory was founded, it was founded in a not-for-profit model where none of our board of directors would ever receive compensation for their time, would never benefit financially. That was the first thing. And the second was that we're not for profit, and at least 90% is going to go to the student athlete. And then thirdly, that we're going to operate with transparency and compliance of the rules. And so people can know that when they're donating, when they're subscribing and becoming a member, that we're going to do everything by the book, and that we're going to support Auburn student athletes as much as we can. So the way that people can get involved is to go to our website, ontovictory.com, and sign up. We'd love to have all the fan base join in. And if that happens, there's no doubt in my mind we'll be the number one collective in the country.
We continue our conversation with Brett Whiteside in just a moment here on Locked On Auburn. If you've thought about securing your home with home security but have been putting it off, you'll want to listen. Right now, Locked On Auburn listeners can order the number one rated Simply Safe home security system for 50% off, people. This is their biggest offer of the year, and you don't want to miss it. We use Simply Safe for our home. I love how easy it is to set up. They just send you all the stuff. You don't have to schedule an appointment for somebody to come into your home and drill holes into your wall and stuff like that. It's pretty easy. It's so easy. I did it. And also their app is super simple to use. Big fan of everything that they've got going on. So don't miss your chance to save big on the only security system that I recommend. Get 50% off any new Simply Safe system at simplysafe.com/LockedOnCollege. That is simplysafe.com/LockedOnCollege. There is no safe like Simply Safe. So a lot of people are tying, we're in the middle of a head coaching search, obviously. The more attractive the job, right, the more NIL funds you have. And so just looking at some of the other potential hires, Auburn has a better NIL situation than all of those. Do you anticipate that On to Victory will be involved with that at all, as far as, bridging an introduction or something like that? Or are you guys just kind of chilling, and then once that announcement happens, you guys are just business as usual?
Well, I think the first thing is our board and On to Victory is going to support President Roberts and John Cohen and whoever they choose as the head coach. We were supportive of Coach Harsin when he was here, sure, and we'll be supportive of the next head coach. So that's the first thing to clarify. We're not running this collective in a way that we receive power influence. That's not the way it should be done. We should support our leaders, whoever they are. And I know that President Roberts knows that, and I know that John Cohen knows that we're here to support them in any way. And it's exciting to think that we become more attractive when we have a great, strong collective. And I believe that's true. I believe that when a coach is choosing if it's a good fit for him or not, that they have to examine, things like, is there an opportunity to win a championship there? And we know the answer is yes. It's been done here.
Do you have your rings on the edge of your desk still?
Of course I do. You want to see them?
Yeah. Show them to everybody. No, when you walk into Brett's office, the first thing you see, the closest thing to the door, are those rings right there.
I've got my championship rings here from 2010. I was blessed to be a student at Auburn during that national championship run, and it's really what allowed me to get involved in this business. And then behind me is
such a flex. I absolutely love it.
You got here.
Nice. Yep, the Sports Illustrated Auburn #1 with Jabari.
Jabari here.
Yeah.
And then College World Series baseball.
Strong.
So
it's pretty strong. But yeah,
everything cool, everything collective.
Yeah, and I pointed that out. I asked about it, and you're like, this is the standard. I mean, this is the messaging that we want at On to Victory. Is we're here to focus on championships, and that got me fired up.
There's no doubt about it. You're right. When you walk in my office, it's sitting on my desk, and when people come in, that's what I say. This is what I get up and do every day. This is what I'm working towards. Right. I have been on the football staff side of things for my entire career, but now that I'm in the NIL role, it's a similar mission. Right. I know that if we're very effective in this NIL space, if On to Victory becomes a leader in NIL, then the championships will follow. And, that's what motivates me every day. It's what motivates our board and our staff. I'm excited to be a part of it. But going back to what I was saying, so, head coach is looking for a place that can win championships, a place that has great facilities. We have, with the Waltos Football Performance Center about to open,
right,
a top football facility in the country. We have a great place to live. We have great resources, get a great education. Kids are getting great jobs when they leave here. We got players going to the pros in all of our sports. So there is so much good going on at Auburn right now. And I think another piece of this, as they're looking to see if this is a fit, is how does the fan base support our student athletes through NIL? And, I think that it would be attractive to know that the success we've had to date and the potential success that we have moving forward. Let me be clear that we're not fully funded for all of our sports for next year, including football. And we've had great success to date. We have great momentum going forward. But it's going to take every Auburn fan to get involved for us to reach the success that we need to hit.
Yeah. Who determines who gets what? Like, is that a I don't know how else to ask that, Brett.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. Everybody wants to know what's the valuation process, right?
Yeah,
so
right.
How do you place a valuation on a student athlete? So we have an interesting way that we're set up. I won't give all the trade secrets here, but
sure,
we have an advisory board, and our advisory board is made up of people that have been successful in business and marketing, as well as former athletes. And that gives us the tools to be able to go to this advisory board, to be able to present these student athletes, because we don't deal in the recruiting world, right? We deal in the current student athlete going to play at Auburn world. And when we're trying to determine what that level looks like, we take those things in mind, right? What's their marketability? What's their fame going to be like? NCAA gives little guidance outside of every student athlete should be judged on an individual basis. And so that's how we're set up. I think that it's a good model, and it's a pure model in the NIL space right now.
Sure. So like you said, you guys cannot interact with recruits, but once they're enrolled, once they sign, they're in a national letter of intent, are they able to walk into your office and sign and start benefiting from NIL? Is that what the process looks like for newcomers?
Yeah, exactly. So the NCAA, again, they've ruled that collectives are boosters. They're made up of boosters, and therefore they can't be involved in the recruiting process and have recruiting conversations with prospective student athletes. And so really our trigger is once they've signed, once they're beginning to enroll, we present them with their opportunities. Our coaches are able to recruit off of NIL based off of what some of the current deals are with the student athletes. And on to victory, and Rick Davidson previously at NIL Auburn supported Auburn student athletes at a very high level. And those are the things that our coaches can go back and show examples, real examples of how current student athletes are being supported through NIL.
Is there a negotiation process ever, or is this just kind of, hey, this is what we have for you?
Well, I mean, I think that everything's a negotiation, right? This is, at the end of the day, they want the best opportunities for themselves.
Sure.
We're a not-for-profit model, and we're a support Auburn student athlete model. And so we're not placing a lot of demands on the student athletes. We understand they're very busy, especially in season. We ask the guys and girls to come in once a month to fulfill their obligations. And maybe additionally if they have personal appearances that month. But I think that our student athletes know that we're respectful of their time. We're not going to ask them to do too much, and that we're all able to offer a fair within market value opportunity.
We continue our conversation with Brett Whiteside in just a moment, but can we pause the pod for a second? Okay, we're paused. Great, because you got to try this. I'm talking about Built Bar's new reimagined flavors: cookie dough topper, coconut brownie bar, coconut brownie topper, white chocolate peppermint granola. It's Built's take on granola bar, so it's more filling and still insanely tasty. And also candy cane brownie puff. Are you kidding me? Built Puffs are like biting into the universe's most delicious cloud. If you ever looked up at the sky and wanted to eat a delicious cloud, you can now with Built Bar. Go to built.com, use promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off your order. Once again, promo code LOCKED15 at built.com. Brett, could you touch on that for folks that don't fully understand? Like these student athletes aren't just being given money to come here. They have to, there's still an exchange of goods and services. Can you talk about what that may look like?
Yeah, exactly. You know, this is not a pay for play situation because these student athletes are actually doing work for it. We had some student athletes went to a ribbon cutting ceremony. A business opened here in the Auburn, Opelika area, and our student athletes went there to support that business. They're doing social media posts and engagements. They're doing other personal appearances, Zooms, signing autographs, and they're doing things for their money. And they're great ambassadors for Auburn, and they're learning about becoming their own personal business and their small business and personally branding themselves. They're learning about taxes. They're learning about that a lot quicker than they ever thought they might. And that's something that we have a shared responsibility. There's a shared responsibility between the athlete, the institution, and with our collective. And we're happy to provide free of charge the student athlete opportunities to put money in a simple tax savings account because they're not aware that they're going to get a 1099 and they're going to owe something big to the government.
Boy, I learned that the hard way.
Yeah, 1099 small employee taxes
are
something that'll hit you. So we're helping them with that. We remit it to the IRS quarterly, and so we have that shared responsibility. But it's been a lot of fun to support the student athletes. We are enhancing their experience. Student athletes can't have a job, and there's just not enough time for it. They're excelling on the field or court. They're excelling in the classroom.
Right.
We have one student athlete who right now he is commuting from his home in Montgomery. He's married with children, and his wife works and goes to school, and he uses this money for childcare. And he's been really open and honest with us. It's been really good to hear some of those stories as we help the student athletes. A lot of them are learning about investing their money, which is my recommendation to all of them. There's tons of ways that we may all wish NIL had gone and the way that this may have all evolved. But, the lack of action years ago has brought us to this point where there's few guardrails. But, I think that our fans can rest assured that we're doing this the right way. We're supporting our student athletes the right way. Yeah. And really at the end of the day, this is not going away. These are the rules that we have right now. And it's our role as a fan base to support our student athletes.
Sure. So Auburn's new AD, John Cohen, there's a lot of stories and quotes from him talking about NIL from the Mississippi State point of view, talking about how there's a limit on it, right? And so now he comes to Auburn, and there doesn't really seem to be a limit on what Auburn can do from an NIL standpoint, which is exciting and probably part of the reason he took the job. We'll see. We're recording this before his press conference, but I think that'll be fun to see. Have you interacted with him at all? And if so, what did that look like?
Yeah, I met John last week at the men's basketball exhibition game. He and his wife, Nell, were there. Enjoyed our brief conversation. It was more congratulatory than anything. He let us know that he was excited to support On to Victory. He was excited to help the student athletes any way that he can. President Roberts has said the same thing. He and I had a great conversation about this new guidance that came out that gave the institutions a little more flexibility in how they can support, a little more assurance to know that their support doesn't exceed what the NCAA would like to see. So it was very positive, excited about him coming in and excited about who he and President Roberts brings in as our football coach.
Brett, can you give us a breakdown of how many football players are signed, how many basketball players are signed, baseball, and all the sports you have covered? Yeah,
so we have 12 sports sponsored by On to Victory right now. Okay. We have 43 football student athletes on an NIL contract. We have 11 basketball players and 11 baseball players on a contract. We've offered an NIL deal to every actually, we just did it today. Every other men's basketball player, we just offered them a contract yet to be signed. Okay. We're going to offer an NIL deal to every women's basketball player, every volleyball player, every gymnast. So we are trying to support at a high level all of our sports. So time will tell if we can hit all those sports and every student athlete, but we are trying to support in a impactful way. Most of our sports, such as gymnastics and volleyball, we've had donors come to us that have wanted to specifically support those sports, which has been really nice that they've been able to receive that recognition.
Are you able to do that when you sign up for a subscription?
Right now, our subscription model supports the collective as a whole, and we felt like it was important for knowing that the subscription was going to support in a area that it can be most impactful, and that gives us the flexibility. I don't think that I think that Auburn fans will recognize that us doing this day to day, we are more aware of how the subscription revenue can be most impactful. Okay. There is a way on our website. I think it's listed as other ways to give. You can choose a sport or multiple sports and how you'd like to designate a one-time gift, but all of the subscription revenue gives us the ability to put it where it can be best be used.
Sure, absolutely. Brett, one more time, how can people check out everything with On to Victory, and how can they sign up to help Auburn athletics compete at the highest level?
Absolutely. Please visit our website at ontovictory.com. You can click the link to become a member and to subscribe at the entry level of $34 a month.
Awesome, Brett. Thank you for your time, man, and thanks for everything you do for Auburn.
Absolutely. War Eagle.
That does it for today's show. Something a little different, but I think it's important for Auburn to compete at the highest level. They need NIL, and the folks leading the charge On to Victory are killing it. We will have a crossover tomorrow with Joey Ickes, host of Locked On Aggies. Also be on the lookout both on YouTube and in audio. A special interview with Auburn cornerback DJ James will be popping up in the next few days as well. Until then, you can read all my written work at auburndaily.com, and we'll see you tomorrow right here on Locked On Auburn.